Grok Talk.
All right, welcome back. This is Grok Talk, brought to you by CNHT, Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers, and the bloggers at granitegrok.com. We come to you live almost every Saturday from 9 to 11 Eastern Standard Time from our luxurious studios here at 8 North Main Street in Concord, New Hampshire. And we always like to let everybody know where they can hear us. Of course, granitegrok.com. And this and past programs are available on Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Ustream. Don't forget to check us out on The Rock, nhcr.com. The show is rebroadcast Mondays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Cool. Well, thank you for having me.
Glad you could make it. Glad you could make it. I know you won't be with us every week in October because you have to go work in the left coast.
Yes. Yeah, I tried to change my job so I'd be able to stay home, but once again, I have to get into that very thin aluminum composite material
most of the time.
Pipe.
Most of the time you're home.
Attached to explosive devices.
Every 10 years
at
or so.
At 35,000 feet.
They make you fly out to the mothership and...
Yeah,
training. Is that what they're calling it? They're calling it training?
Yeah, I have a feeling it'll be a little bit of a training, a little bit of a... I've gone to the principal's office.
Really?
What'd
you do?
Huh?
What'd you do?
Well, take the opportunity.
Sorry.
Take the opportunity as I would to shake down the principal instead.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so...
I take those opportunities to make sure I go visit the engineers and people that I need questions answered from and give them hell.
Yeah. Well.
Enough about us. Jody and Ian Underwood have joined us. We're talking about Croydon. The New Hampshire AG's office is saying, don't do that, and they're saying, but it says we can do that in the law, so too bad. And that's kind of where we are. Now, we were talking about at the break. You have a website, funding. You need funding because you're going to go to court.
We do, and it's ucaring.com, and if you search for Croydon, Croydon, you'll find the fundraising, what do you call it, link
yep.
for
Croydon,
us.
New Hampshire School Choice.
So do that. Go there. Donate. They need money because the AG's office has a bottomless pit of taxpayer dollars they are going to waste on a pointless endeavor just to make a point because they want to scare people off so they don't do this because that's what they do.
Right.
Even though they know if anybody reads the law as written, they have no case. They still have to do it because somebody else might. And so that's really that's what I'm thinking.
Right.
You know?
And they could win. It's a crapshoot.
And they could because this
Depends
is New
on the
Hampshire.
judge,
and
right?
We have judges in New Hampshire who aren't.
It's the rule of man, not the rule of law. Right.
So
yeah. I mean, so what's interesting to me here, too, is people in the town, well, there are 4 private schools and there are 4 school choice. They're afraid of the cost that this could bring to the town. And so, interestingly, a year ago, I guess, maybe more, we got a donation from somebody of $12,000. The school did. Like on the sale of his house, 80% went to the town and 20% went to the school, and we could spend it however we want. So we have a starting point of $12,000 that we can throw at this, which is awesome. But again, we have a very small town, and to split the costs across them could be bad. However, if you put perspective on it, the ballpark we were given was between $15,000 and $20,000. $15,000 and $20,000 for the court case. I mean, I guess that means for the first round. Like if we have to appeal, it might be more. And what is that really in perspective? It's 1 student in high school for 1 year. Mm-hmm. That's not a lot of money in terms of that. So hopefully the town will get to see that as we explain it to them. And
you have that money plus your fundraising, and
exactly.
It really is a matter of principle. This really is about intimidation. They don't want anybody else to go and read the paper and go, oh, look at that. When I wrote my piece at Watchdog, I wrote, you found school choice in existing law. Because you did.
Right.
That's what it was.
That's right.
And then I explained it as we discussed, the last time you were here. And like I said, a lot of people read that. Now, I don't know if there's a lot of people in New Hampshire that read it. I don't see a whole bunch of people going, hey, we could have school choice. I'm not hearing that resounding call from school boards, mostly because most school boards are like, we don't want that. We like the arrangement we have now. Not so much in every town. Wyndham comes to mind. I mean, they're not, just bend over and let the superintendent do what they want. They're not that kind of school.
But we have talked about or talked with people. Our educational person, Jorge Mesa Tejada,
Jorge,
who talks about the Earl of Metzler.
Yeah, Timberlane's one of those schools where the superintendent is, basically, Sig Heil. You got to do what he says or else, and he knows how to play the system and work it and apply the pressure to get what he wants. And even though, like Sandown and Danville are like, we are going to fight you, it's still a tough row to hoe. And so, in your case, you're just skipping right to the AG. And
well, they skipped to us, right?
They did skip to you, yeah, because they came knocking on your door.
They did
to tell you were doing something that wasn't legal, and of course we've all read the law, and it is.
And it's interesting, we've had Chuck Douglas's office has written responses to a letter from the Department of Ed, a phone call from the Department of Ed, and then a letter from the AG's office. And not once has the state responded directly to our letters, our replies. Like, can you tell us where we got it wrong? They're not being rational about this. They can't. And that's a really nice way of looking at it. It's just...
That's not what we want it to mean.
Exactly. Yep. So now we're going to try something else and throw new laws at you and get your process wrong. I mean, again, this letter from the AG's office who told our town that what you're doing is wrong, and here's what we understand that you're doing. It's like, you're not doing that. I don't know where you got your information. Maybe you got it from some newspaper that reported it wrong. I'm not sure. So they're getting so many things wrong. It's amazing.
I want to go back to the intimidation factor that Steve brought up, which is how many people actually live in the Croydon area?
Town?
Yeah.
About 750.
All right, so again, when you look at the number of people there and the size of the state government and the taxpayer money that they can bring to bear, this is not a small thing. I will tell you, having been on the budget committee, when you talk about stuff in my town, we've got more people.
You lose audio again?
Oh, yeah, all of a sudden I seem to have gone dead.
You're dead. I'm
Yeah.
still getting a feed.
Oh, okay.
I'm still getting a feed.
But anyways, you look at that and you go...
I'll turn it up a little on the master, see if that helps.
All right, we can do that.
Better?
Better? We can do more. We can do more.
All
right.
Can you hear? Say something.
Better. I'm here.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
I hear you over
Better.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Better.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's time. Maybe this headset is now gone.
Maybe it's your ears.
Maybe it's my ears.
I have to turn it way up because it is my ears. So
gotcha.
I know that.
So, anyways, and it was always a discussion. If you were going to go up against the state, how much is it going to cost?
Are we going to win? That's when I'm like, I don't know. Anyway.
The law says so, but like you said.
But it is a legitimate concern
It is.
of the taxpayers
It is.
in town.
Yes.
And the state knows it.
Yes. And they're
And
trying to
they-
intimidate us. They're bullying us, right? Again and again.
Yeah, you just have to love it. The State Board of Education, who's been putting together all these anti-bullying programs to be implemented at the local level, and look what they're doing.
That would be maybe you guys on the school board should implement your anti-bullying policy now.
Yes, and
Say,
use
we
it
will
against
not.
the AG.
Our policy is we will not give in to bullying,
That's right.
and then publish that. Send it to
Right.
Megan.
Well,
Taylor.
we don't like to have policies about anything because we like to deal with things on a case-to-case basis.
Right.
And in this case, that's what we're doing.
You know, we
Policy
will not
is-
negotiate with terrorists.
That's right.
Can you put them in a timeout?
That's funny.
Now, how is we were talking about superintendents earlier. Your superintendent is brand new. First time, put into the situation. How is she holding up?
She's interesting. She's doing pretty well. Like personally, like we're all very civilized, even though she's not really supporting what we're doing. So it's we can have sort of open conversations about it, but she just is going to listen to what the state tells her to do because it's her first time out.
Yep.
And that's where she stands.
Yeah. All you have to say is, whose signature is on the front of your paycheck?
Right. And that's fine, except that
To a point.
she's the superintendent of SAU 43, which includes both the Newport School Boards and the Croydon School Boards.
Ah, yes.
And Newport has 5 people, and we have 3. And we did talk about it at an SAU board meeting once, and most of them were uncomfortable ordering the superintendent to follow what we said.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
that's where we stand. So Croydon can't order her to do it by ourselves. The whole SAU board has to do it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Unless you guys pack the board, we should just have a special election and get like 5 more people on the Croydon
Oh,
school
yeah, we
board.
could
Then
enlarge
it'd
the
be
Croydon
like
School
8 to
Board.
5.
Sure, why not?
If
Yeah.
it was going to work for Roosevelt, they might just back down.
Really. What's stopping you from adding board members? Really?
Yeah. For those people who aren't quite as well educated on history, A brief segue, please, Ian.
So back when Roosevelt was president,
FDR.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
let
you. FDR.
us not mix our Roosevelts.
Yes, when Roosevelt was president.
One was merely a statist, the other was a communist.
Okay. When FDR was president, he was trying to get a lot of legislation passed, which was clearly unconstitutional. The court kept throwing it out, saying this is unconstitutional. And then he threatened to get his majority in Congress to essentially pack the Supreme Court by adding more justices, saying for every justice over a certain age, I get to add another one. So then he would just clearly have a majority, and that was sort of when the Supreme Court adopted this idea that, well, okay, in order to prevent that from happening, if a piece of legislation has the magic preamble that says what it is that Congress is trying to do, then it's okay. So, and they just totally caved. So,
yeah, talking about intimidation once again in the land of the free.
Right, and I think that's where the phrase "a stitch in time saves nine" comes from. Actually,
I think you're right.
Because they buckled and saved the 9-person court.
Wow.
I've never heard that one.
Yeah, I heard it. But that's true. And then you should stack your Croydon school board with more people, and then just go back and take the SAU over.
Let's just put everybody in town on the school board.
We have 700 people on our school board.
It only takes one vote per person to get on.
Right.
Just elect yourself, everybody. You elect yourself. Boom.
We have more members on ours. You would be the largest deliberative body on the planet.
It's true. That would be great. The meetings would be tough.
New Hampshire would be like fourth now instead of third or whatever it is. So.
Well, the only difference would be how many were in the audience and how many were on the board.
Yeah, you'd need a really big table.
You'd still have the same arguments.
There would be no audience. Everybody. It would be government by the people.
People might actually come to our meetings then.
Participation plus.
Right.
So if you told them they had a vote, they might actually, no, that won't work.
Right, exactly. Although once you're on the board, I don't know, there's something a little more compelling about that.
Copies, lots of copies. You'd
That's
have to
so
make a lot
funny.
of copies. Here's your packet.
So, I mean, I'm changing the subject, but just because this occurred to me. So I was on NHPR yesterday morning, on Morning Edition, and I believe it went national. And yesterday all day, my segment was on the top stories on the nhpr.org site. And I just went there today, and it's still at the top of their page.
This is a great story. Just like, I mean, yeah. I write for Watchdog Arena, and I get okay traffic. Great traffic. When I wrote about your story, I got great traffic. Because it's a school choice thing. Now, I shared it with all the school choice people, and they shared it with us. So, you bring in a lot of traffic that way. But, you get engagement because it's an important topic. People are curious, not just about school choice, but about the state's involvement and then, even all the way to the federal government with Common Core and all this other crap that's going on. And everybody's hearing all these different things. And you talk about a tiny little town that said, this is the law. It says we can do this. We're going to do that. And then, here comes Goliath, to try to take you down because you're raining on their little parade. And that's a great story. I mean, it's an underdog story. And I think that's what people like about it. But in your case, we've said it over and over again, and we're going to keep saying it. The law's on your side. We just don't know if we can get a judge to agree.
Right, well, there's that.
I cannot help myself. The Underwoods are the underdogs. Sorry.
That's okay. And it's not just us, right? But it's our town.
But
yeah.
it is.
It is your town.
I mean, it's a great story.
Yeah.
It is. And I think the book Unintimidated was written about the wrong person.
So what's the next step that you'll have to go through at this point?
Collecting money.
Yeah.
Well,
donations.
Okay.
Well, Monday comes, right?
You caring, Croydon, New Hampshire School Choice.
Yep.
So youcaring.com and then just look up Croydon.
Right, YOUcaring, yes,
Yeah.
.com.
But what else is going on other than the raising the money? Because you folks are certainly able to multitask. What's the next thing?
I think we're going to court.
But you haven't gotten anything in writing saying you have to show up, right?
I haven't.
Right, you have to wait for Monday. Then the AG has to pull the trigger on their lawsuit
the
if they're
AG
going to
called-
sue you or do whatever they do.
The AG
junction
called
or-
Chuck Douglas's office, so there was a phone call. They like to do phone calls for some reason.
Oh,
No
yeah,
paper
because-
trail.
No paper trail.
No paper trail.
Yeah, there's
That's
a very
why.
easy way around that. Every conversation you have with me, I am going to record. If you don't like it, hang up.
That's right. Yeah. So, I mean, then it's a matter. And Chuck thinks that it's going to be soon It's interesting. He's like, probably in the next week or so, we'll be going to court. And when I mentioned this to my school board members, Angie Bolio said, God, you always hear about court cases. It takes forever to get to court. I'm like, right. I was like, those are criminal cases. This one is by the state. Big surprise. She's like, right. It's very interesting. Yeah.
They're just going to change the schedule.
All criminal cases are conducted by the state. The
But
difference
Well, no,
is, if they're putting somebody in jail for like stealing some Twinkies, they're not going to lose a lot of revenue and a lot of political
Good
donations.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as opposed to hunting down voter fraud.
Yeah, that's not really a big deal. That can wait.
Not
you
to
can always
them.
ask them, well, how's the voter fraud investigation going? Sorry.
Right.
So, when you talked to Chuck Douglas's office, did they say what charges they're bringing? Why are they going to bring you to court? Obviously, this whole thing, but is there something specific that they're going to bring against you in court?
So enjoin was the word, right? Is that what I said?
Yeah.
To
They say stop.
I imagine
Why?
stop sending. Oh, yeah. Well, why has been the question the whole time, and I think that's what we go to.
The other question
court.
is, or what?
Or what? Yes, and they have never said or what. I imagine a bear cat going to the Montessori school to take out the 4 kids that we have in there now.
Well, like I said, you're married to the right guy.
Well, that would be good. There should be cameras for that.
Hopefully they'll let us know. But
Yeah, if it's on-
Give you a
if-
little bit of warning.
If it's during the week of October 22nd, my cameras will be there.
okay.
All right, we're going to take a really quick break. Stay on the line. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Rock Talk.